Welcome to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. If you're on a mission to be more frugal with both your time and money, you're in the right place. In this podcast, we talk about topics that help enhance living a frugal lifestyle. The goal is to save time and money where we can so that we can use the rest on what matters most to us. We talk a lot about both time and money management so that we can waste as little as possible on both. We do this while also embracing a progress over perfection mindset. If that sounds good to you, then please stick around for the latest episode right after a few quick words from our sponsor. Hi everyone, welcome back to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. Today I'm going to be doing another one of my quick mini summer episodes. So today I wanted to talk about making sure you do not discount the value that you can find in small amounts of time. Because sometimes we look at something like, say, a room in our house has gotten a little bit messy or out of control, and we think like, oh my gosh, I just don't have time to do that right now. I don't have time to deal with that. So we just might leave it as it is. And maybe it's bothering us every time we walk through that room or we see whatever the things are that needs to be put away or cleaned up, that we really feel like we need to do. And it's kind of nagging at us every time we walk through that area, and it kind of makes you feel bad because you're like, oh my gosh, I really got to get to that. And especially for me, at least in this season in summer, things get really busy as far as trying to just enjoy outside and doing more things with friends and family and things like that. So I tend to feel even more strapped for time in the summer. But the reality is that it really only takes a few minutes usually to make something back to some reasonable state. Not perfect, not like the way ideally we would like to have it, but much, much better. For example, I kept coming into my living room and I had two bags actually, sitting on the floor that contained, one had towels in it, beach towels that we didn't use the previous weekend. I brought 5 towels with us to visit family. We only wound up using 2. So the one bag had 3 dry towels in it. The other bag had a change of clothes because I had gone in the water and then I changed when I got home. So then I had the clothes that I changed in that other bag. So it had been sitting. When I came home, I just dropped it on the floor that day because we got back really late, whatever. And I was like, all right, I got to deal with that. Then work week started the next day. I was just really busy. I had a lot going on. I was doing things after work and whatever. And I just kept walking by those 2 bags. So they sat there for the whole week pretty much. And yesterday I came home and I was like, oh my gosh, my son ordered a desk and he was having it delivered today actually. And I was like, last night I'm thinking someone's going to be in our house. This is just too messy. It wasn't terrible, but it was just you want to kind of straighten up, even though it's just a delivery person and I'll never see them again. I usually try and, make the house at least look a little bit nicer. So, I'm thinking, I have these 2 bags sitting here in the middle of the living room. Why? It literally took me all of about probably less than a minute to pick up the bags, put the dry towels away, put my change of clothes in the hamper, and then take those 2 bags and stick them where I keep my bags. And just that alone made the room look so much nicer. And it was such a quick, simple task that made such a big difference. So we have to really remind ourselves that it doesn't always take a lot to make a big difference. It's just with a couch and cushions. You know how when a couch has a blanket thrown on it and the cushions are all messed up and someone sat on the couch weird. So if it doesn't have attached cushions are kind of popping out. So if it's teenagers, they don't usually think to push them back in or whatever, anyone who might be sitting on it. And it just looks really messy. But if you take probably 30 seconds to just go around and straighten the pillows and fold the blanket that's laying on the couch, even if you just fold it and leave it right on the couch, it looks a million times better, and it just makes you feel so much better about your surroundings. So even though maybe you didn't lift the cushions and vacuum and maybe spot clean the fabric, or maybe put the blanket back in wherever you keep your blankets, if you have a chest or a basket or whatever, even though you didn't maybe go through all of that extra steps that you feel like you would like to do to straighten up that room, It makes a big difference just to take a very small amount of time and just make it better so that it doesn't have to bother you. So that's all I wanted to share for this mini episode today. I just wanted to kind of say, like, don't forget, like, you can get a lot of value out of just small amounts of time by just doing a couple of little things that will make a big difference in your home, or really in anything, even in your work. A lot of times we have these little things that nag at us, and if we just take a few minutes, we can usually knock out at least a piece of it, and getting something done is better than getting nothing done, and getting something done is better than getting something done perfect, if perfect means we're not going to do anything at all. So just think about that and see what little things you might be able to do that have been kind of nagging you that might really only take you a small amount of time. And by the way, if you're feeling generous today, I really could use another review on Apple Podcasts. I haven't gotten a review in, I don't remember how long it's been. It hasn't been super, super long, but I feel like it might have been going on a month now, at least. I don't keep track of the time, but I know I keep checking, and every time I'm like, nope, no more reviews. So that really, really is helpful in having Apple Podcasts show this show as a potential podcast to listen to other listeners as those rating and reviews come in. So if you haven't already left a rating or review, especially on Apple Podcasts or even on whatever other apps you listen on, if they allow ratings and reviews, I would appreciate so much if you wouldn't mind taking the time to do that, because it would be really, really helpful to me and helping me try to grow this podcast. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you back here next week. So thank you for checking in for this podcast episode. And don't forget, you can always email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at lolasfrugallife. And you can find a blog post for most of my episodes and definitely all of my meal plan episodes at lolasfrugallife.com. You can also join our private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. And if you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. And I would love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram so I could see you're listening. Also, if you can please take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast. Those ratings and reviews are what help the show come up better in search results so that other people can find this podcast. So that will really help me in growing my audience. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an awesome day.